Good day. We are continuing with Lordship in the one-to-one, and today we are talking about Lordship that demands obedience. The first verse I want to highlight is the one in Matthew 7, where Jesus says, "Not everyone that calls me Lord, Lord will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only those that do the will of my Father in heaven." To me, this is one of the saddest verses in the Bible, because Jesus is talking about people that have called him Lord. And if you read further, people that say that they have performed miracles, prophesied, driven out demons in his name. And Jesus says, "But I never knew you." And these are people that have probably called themselves Christians, so-called followers of Christ, but Jesus didn't know them. And it's important that we don't only know him, but to have a relationship, so that he will be able to say that he knows us as well. And then the other verse there in Luke 6, Jesus says, "But why do you call me Lord, Lord, and do not do what I say?" And in both of these scriptures follows by a passage where Jesus talks about the wise and the foolish builders, and a wise builder that will build his house on strong foundations. So these are two eyewitness accounts, possibly of the same conversation, but both got something different out of it. Now, what we see in Luke 6 is what precedes this scripture is Jesus is talking about a tree and its fruit, and that you can recognize a tree by its fruit, and that good trees will bear good fruit. And there's probably been some debate about what are these fruits. Is it fruit of the Spirit? Is it actual disciples that we make? Maybe it's both or one of them. But what follows then is Jesus says, we will speak what is stored up in our hearts. And then he says, "But why do you call me Lord, Lord, but do not do what I say?" So Jesus expects us to talk about him, to proclaim his gospel. But the only way we can do that is to do that naturally, to make sure that we are filled with him in our hearts, to make sure that Jesus is the Lord, Lord of all. And once we are filled with him, we will naturally do what he says, and that's to proclaim the gospel. And the question is Jesus your Lord?